Hello, my name is Ashley Mickelson, and I am excited to share insights into two essential areas for fostering success of English learners, or ELs, which would be culturally responsive teaching and homeschool connections. In this video, I'm going to address how cultural influences affect teaching and learning, strategies for integrating cultural and linguistic assets in the classroom, and how building strong home and school connections supports language acquisition and emotional well-being. So the first question for culturally responsive teaching would be, what are cultural influences on teaching and learning? So cultural influences are fundamental in shaping how students engage with learning. Each cultural brings its own values, practices, and ways of knowing, which can influence how students interacts with peers, responds to authority, or engages with content in general. For example, some students may come from a collectivist cultures where group harmony is valued over, say, individual achievement, while others may come from cultures that emphasize that individual autonomy. And then cultural competence and its role in the instruction of ELs is a question that we've gotten. Cultural competence refers to the ability of educators to understand, appreciate, and respond to the cultural differences within their students. This competency is vital in the instruction of ELs because it kind of helps create a learning environment where students feel seen, valued, and respected. When teachers demonstrate that cultural competence, they can adapt their teaching methods to support diverse learning styles and ensure that instruction is relevant to students' cultural context. And then how can EL's cultural values and beliefs be integrated appropriately in the context of teaching and learning? Well, we can integrate EL's cultural values and beliefs into the classroom by incorporating culturally relevant materials and perspectives into the curriculum. For example, in literature, we can choose texts that reflect diverse backgrounds for our students. We can also design assignments that allow students to share their cultural practices, traditions, and family experiences. And by doing this, we not only validate their experiences, but also kind of create a classroom environment that fosters pride in their cultural identities. And then from there, what is the role of culture in student learning? So culture plays a significant role in shaping how students approach learning. For example, some cultures may prioritize that oral communication, while others may emphasize written forms of expression. Understanding these cultural differences can help educators design lessons that encourage different modes of communication. And a culturally responsive classroom will not only recognize these differences, but kind of will actively work to create an inclusive space where all students can thrive. And then how do schools and classroom environments influence language acquisitions, and what steps are necessary to create that inclusive environment? Well, the physical and emotional environment in the classroom plays a large role in supporting language acquisition. A welcoming and inclusive classroom includes multilingual displays, diverse learning materials, and just an atmosphere that celebrates that cultural diversity that we have. Teachers can take steps such as flexible grouping, providing scaffolds, and just being mindful overall of students' prior experiences to ensure that equitable and supportive classroom. Additionally, creating a predictable routine and using those visuals to reinforce language concepts can support ELs in feeling safe and confident in their learning. And then what are some strategies for supporting and celebrating cultural diversity within the instruction? Well, to celebrate cultural diversity, teachers can organize multicultural events, use inclusive text, and teach students about various cultural practices. Strategies like project-based learning also allow students to share their own cultural experiences, perspectives as well. Teachers can also leverage that bilingual resources to affirm students' home languages, helping them see that their first language is an asset rather than something that kind of hinders their learning and halts them in the process. From there, supporting the needs of the ELs in the classroom. So we get asked, what are some strategies for responsiveness to the different strengths, needs, and identities of all ELs, including special needs? So one of the most effective ways to support ELs is to recognize and respond to their unique strengths, needs, and those identities. So there's differentiated instruction, including the use of visual aids, gestures, simplified language, just helps students with varying levels of proficiency engage with the content. For students with special needs, there's co-planning with the special education teachers and utilizing assistive technology to provide that additional support as needed. And then what are some opportunities and approaches to meet the social and emotional needs of ELs? Well, ELs do and can face many challenges that impact their social and emotional well-being, such as adjusting to a new culture or language barriers that kind of hinder that socialization. So to address these, we need to create a classroom culture that emphasizes trust, belonging, and empathy. Teachers can incorporate social emotional learning, or SEL, programs and foster peer relations through collaborative group work. Additionally, providing counseling support or connecting families with, say, community resources can also help address students' emotional needs as well. And then what is the importance of understanding the social, emotional, and cultural needs of students when establishing classroom routines and procedures? Well, when establishing routines and procedures, it's important to account for the social, emotional, and cultural backgrounds of your EL students. So, for example, a routine that may feel comforting to students from one cultural background may feel unfamiliar or even kind of distressing to others. So a culture that is attuned to these differences will actively build routines that offer that flexibility for the safety of all their students. And then we have home and school connections. So we get asked, how might family and community practices, so funds for knowledge, influence language learning? Well, the concepts of funds for knowledge, which refers to the cultural and linguistic resources families bring to the classroom, is an important aspect of home-school connections. Families contribute valuable knowledge and experience that can directly support language learning. For example, family discussions around meals or community gatherings may provide context and vocabulary that enriches the students' language skills. So by recognizing and respecting these cultural practices, educators can help bridge that gap between home and school. And then we also get at what are some strategies to build and foster strong family, community, and school partnerships. So building strong partnerships with families and communities begins with establishing that open line of communications. There could be multilingual newsletters, hosting family nights, and just offering translation services to ensure that families feel welcome and informed. From there, we get asked, what are effective family engagement practices that supports and highlights the assets of home languages, including communication, family involvement, and providing intentional strategies for families of ELs. So intentional strategies for engaging families of ELs include regular check-ins on student progress, offering workshops on how to support language learning at home, and just creating opportunities for families to share their cultural traditions in the classroom, such as inviting parents to read stories in their native language or share cultural activities to enhance those students' language development and strengthen that school-home connection. And then last but not least, we also get asked, what are some inclusive community engagement practices? So we do have fostering community engagement involves not only working with the families, but also reaching out to local community organizations, cultural centers, and even other support networks. These partnerships can often provide valuable resources, mentorships, and other extracurricular opportunities for EL students. Additionally, encouraging students to participate in community events can support their language skills and also provide that sense of belonging that just humans often crave. It's just as human nature. So in conclusion, by adopting culturally responsive teaching strategies, acknowledging the diverse strengths and needs of our EL students, and just building that strong, supportive homeschool connections, we can create an environment that nurtures the academic, social, and emotional growth of all students. Thank you.